in West Philadelphia. Born and raised on the playground is where I spend most of my days. Chilling out, maxing, relaxing on cool, shooting some b-ball outside of school. And a couple of guys, it was up to no good. Started making trouble in my neighborhood, and I got one little fight. My mom got scared. She said, "You're moving with your auntie and uncle in Bel Air." YouTube. You know what day it is? You know what day it is? You tell your boy a little bit, just a little bit excited. Do you know what today is? It's nothing special in particular outside of the fact that we got another package in. You know what I'm saying? I said it before, I'll say it again. Life's a lot more fun when you got packages on the way. So maybe that's part of the reason why I had this addiction of constantly ordering stuff. We don't really got to focus on that. Today, we got another pickup. You already seen the title of the thumbnail. I'm sure you already know what's inside this box here, but this is a sneaker I'm pretty excited to go ahead and open up because I've never actually owned this colorway before. It's no sense in beating around the bush, pushing foot around. You already know what this is. Inside of this box, we have the Air Jordan 5 Grapes. And this is one of my favorite Jordan 5 colors. This is maybe my favorite Jordan 5 colorway, but I've never actually owned a pair. So let's just go ahead and get into it, man. So these came out a couple of days ago, and they kind of sitting. They're not really selling for too much. I've already seen a couple of restocks, and for me, I mean, that's a wonderful thing. I don't know about you guys, but as somebody who's been collecting sneakers for over 10 years now, yeah, I know. I've been through the ups and the downs and the highs and lows of reselling and, release dates, camp outs, raffles and all that. So I remember when everything that released sold out and then was getting resold. So for me, when you have stuff like this, that's just an easy pickup, an easy retail cop. And even if you miss out, you might catch them on a restock. And then if you wait long enough, you might even catch them on sale or on a discount somewhere, whether that's at a Nike outlet or a coupon code. I know some of us, we be following like Soul Links or whatnot on Twitter. And if you don't, you probably should. You find you some deals, save you some money. But yeah, like I feel like this is honestly one of the best times ever to be a sneaker collector, to be a sneakerhead, because if you truly love this, like if you really love the game for the, for the heart of it, and like you just really love sneakers, they're easier than ever. Maybe not easier than ever, maybe not easier than when they first came out back in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, right? But as far as retros go, I mean, white cements, easy cop. Black cement 3s, easy cop. What else have I picked up recently? The Grape 5s, easy cop. The metallic 5s, I mean, I easily got 2 pairs. That I guess it wasn't the easiest release, but even then, I mean, those is reselling. But if you really want most releases these days, you can get them. Now, of course, that's without including, the collabs and stuff like Travis Scott's and Off-White and everything like that. But yeah, man, let's go ahead and toss that to the side. But here I do have size 11 Air Jordan 5 Retro OG white, new emerald, and grape ice. So if I could just go ahead and you see it there for yourself, Air Jordan 5 Retro OG, size 11. Yes sir, yes sir, Bob. So the Grape 5 is honestly one of the OG colors. I don't understand what possessed Tinker and Michael to come up with this colorway, because it don't really seem like it has anything to do with anything. Like obviously you got a lot of black, white, and red. So you have like the silver tongue fire reds, the black tongue fire reds, which are releasing later this year. And I do need to make sure I get my hands on a pair of those, because that's another one of my favorites. And you have the metallics and everything like that. I don't know where the grapes came from, but it's something about it. It's just very 90s. And if you watch Fresh Prince back in the day like I did, Will Smith rocked these, although he actually rocked them with no laces in his pair. But that new shoe smell, man. That new shoe smell. Ooh. Oh, these is nice. Oh, these is real nice. Hey. Hey. If you sleep, don't stay asleep for too long, because these are butter. All right, man, hold up. I just gotta take a moment to just appreciate, because the first of all, the shape on these is beautiful. Like, I don't know at what point they decided they were going to finally fix like the retro Jordan 5 shape, but this silhouette is immaculate. It's not quite like the original like 1990, but it's probably the closest we've ever had to it. I just love the shape of the toe box, just the height on it and everything. And even the leather on these seems really nice compared to most retros that we get. I don't know why they went so hard on these, and people asleep. I can't believe it. Let me go ahead and get you guys a nice little looky-loo here. We have the Grape Jordan 5 Retro OG. with that grape ice, that new emerald, that nice white leather upper. But yeah, so the grapes, like I said, is one of my favorites. And this was honestly a sneaker that at some point when I got into like collecting, like for real, I consider this one of my grails, because at the time you had, you know, the 1990 OGs and you had the 2006 retro. So in, I don't know, like 2011, 2012, 2013, and like that era, you really couldn't find this shoe because it hadn't retroed until it did in 2013. And I remember this shoe came out and it was an instant sellout, you know what I'm saying? And in that era, it felt like everything sold out, no matter the quality, no matter what the colorway, just like anything and everything was selling out. That was like maybe like right in the midst of like the super hype era where just every drop was just gone, you know what I mean? And I never got my hands on a pair. Granted, the 2013 retro wasn't that great. The leather was super duper stiff. The shape wasn't great. I'm sure I still would have enjoyed them if I copped them back then anyway. But then again, maybe not, because, you know, honestly, like the colorway is what matters to me the most, you know what I mean? But I am somebody who cares to some degree about the quality and the quality control on them and everything like that. And there were a few shoes that I had back then that I really wasn't a fan of, even though I liked that sneaker. So ones that immediately come to mind are like the Chicago Jordan 1s. Y'all know Jordan 1s are my favorite silhouette. I've been collecting them and wearing them for forever. And in 2012, they brought back the Chicago 1s, but it wasn't the retro high OG. That was the year before they started doing that. In 2013, they started bringing back, you know, the Royals, the Breads, the Shadows, the Black Toes, and everything like that. But the year before, when we were still getting mostly like mids, we got a Jordan 1 high, and it was the Chicagos, and they were like $110 retail, but the leather on them was like super stiff. The tongue was like sky high, and I liked them, but I eventually sold them because I realized it wasn't what I really wanted. And then when I heard that, you know, the Chicagos were coming back and they were bringing back some of the other like colorways, like the Breads, Royal Shadows, so on and so forth, I was like, I bet I'm getting all those, which of course I did. And then eventually in 2015, they released the Chicagos again in a much better fashion with that retro, and I got a pair, sold them, then went years without having them until the Lost and Founds came back out. But anyway, I said that to say there were shoes like that, or like the white infrared 6s, which were terrible, man. And even the 2012 white cement 4s weren't very good either, and I loved them at the time, but you compare it to the 2016 retro or the retro that we got now, which I obviously made a video about back when those released, it just doesn't compare. So I say all that to say that the 2013 retro pales in comparison to this. Just off rip, just But yeah, man, let's go ahead and take a detailed look at the shoe. Starting from the outsole, you can see that you've got this black rubber here on the toe cap, that translucent icy blue outsole, white here at the midfoot, and then again translucent outsole at the back, of course, with that new emerald Jumpman there as well. Then as we move on to the midsole, you see the white translucent sole peeking up, white rubber toe cap up here with your white stitching, more of that grape ice on the midsole, that new emerald hit right there, as well as a little hit of black here on the rubber midsole. And then all throughout the upper, you have this smooth white leather that's pretty soft. Like, I don't really know how well, I know some people on YouTube like to see you like kind of push into the leather and you just kind of see maybe a little bit too bright for you to really get a detailed look, but you can kind of see how it wrinkles up at the touch. And here's another thing as well, leather being soft doesn't necessarily mean that it's high quality. Leather being stiff doesn't necessarily mean that it's high quality or bad quality either. It's more so about like the grain of the leather and the thickness at times, and you know, softness and stiffness can play a role, but it's not really, you know what I'm saying? I understand people prefer softer leather, but then you get softer leather and it creases easier. Then people say it's bad quality because they crease, and then you get like leather that's like stiff and like, oh, like it's uncomfortable or it's stiff, so it's not good quality. You know what I'm saying? People just be talking without really knowing what they're talking about. If you do want to watch some people who know what they're talking about when it comes to the build and materials of a lot of these sneakers, I highly recommend Rose Anvil, I believe is their channel name, and then Wear Testers, who I've been watching since back when he was Nightwing 2303. If you know, you know, real OGs was really out there, you feel me? But that being said, back to the shoe. So you have this really nice white leather all throughout the upper, white laces as well as like that icy netting here on the side, as well as on the tongue. And then speaking of the tongue, you can see we've got that grape ice up there with the new emerald, and then the emerald behind the tongue as well with your Air Jordan patch. And while we're here at the back, you can see that Nike Air, which, is this the first time we've gotten the Grape 5s with the Nike Air? No, because we had that retro in 2018 or 2020. There was a very limited release where they actually retroed the Grape 5s, and I believe they had Nike on the back, but they came with no laces, and the lace eyelets didn't even have like holes punched out for the laces. And this was supposed to be an homage to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. In the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith actually wears the Grape 5s, and he wears his pair with no laces. Now, to me, I think it was a little weird to do that, because like you could just like take the laces out if you really wanted to be like Will Smith, because that's just more accurate to how he wore them anyway. It wasn't like his pair specifically was built that way. But they did that release was super limited. I don't know what they sell for these days, but I did see people out there who like got them and then like bought like a hole puncher and punched the holes themselves into the eyelet so that they could actually throw laces in them. But now you ain't got to do that. Now if you want a pair of Grape 5s, they're super accessible. Like I said, these are sitting honestly online at a lot of retailers. They're even like restocking at places, and they're not reselling for anything either. So if you like this shoe, you're probably gonna be able to get your hands on them, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, I won't be surprised if they start showing up at outlets, or if you know, you can find them on the secondhand market gently used for a decent bit of the retail. Now over time, this is one of them shoes that might go up like in a few years from now, but as of right now, they're easily obtainable. So you know what I mean? Also, I forgot to mention that you do get a lace lock here. You get your basically your cleared lace lock holder with the black actual lace lock there on the tongue, if I could get that to focus up. By the way, I saw a lot of like conversation about the lace lock and about it being black. I don't know why this was like a point of contention or even a talking point at all, because I had to go back and check just to make sure I wasn't crazy. Every version of the Grape 5s always had a black lace lock. Unless I missed something, it was always black. Like, I don't know why that's like a, I don't know why that like stood out to people, like why that was a point of conversation. Like I saw that on like multiple YouTube videos and on the internet and on Instagram and everything like that, people pointing out the black lace lock, and like I went back and I looked, I'm like, it always had a black lace lock. Unless I'm just blind. Like I don't know. I did my Googles and it looked like the lace lock was always black, but that's just me, man. That's just me. But yeah, like I said, these dropped in 2006. When they dropped in 2006, I wasn't collecting sneakers at the time. I was very young, and even if I did have shoes like that, I wouldn't have fit them by now, or even the next year, as far as that's concerned. 2013, I didn't manage to get a pair. They sold out, and I wasn't really paying resale for stuff like that. And I was like flipping shoes, but there were just other priorities. Another thing as well is that Jordan 5s, as much as I love the Grapes, they're not typically like my thing in terms of like, they're just not one of my favorite silhouettes. Like I like a select few colorways, mostly all the OGs, so the metallics, both pairs of fire reds, the Grapes. The Stealth 2.0s is pretty cool. Tokyos are dope. It's a lot of them out there, but it's just other silhouettes that I like more. The thing is though, is that they're kind of like I don't know, is it just like the bulk of them? I don't know, I kind of like the ones that have more of a slimmer profile. I say, even though 4s can be a little bit bulky themselves as well, I just don't have that many 5s in my collection. But I do, you know what I just remembered? I actually sold my Silver Tongue Fire Reds. But honestly, it's probably for the best because they were a size 10.5. I bought them at release date, and then they sat in my closet for some years. And even if I wanted to wear them at some point, I probably would have to replace that with a size 11. So that's probably something I'll do. Like I said, the Black Tongue Fire Reds are releasing later this year, and your boy will be making sure I get a pair of those because I like those almost as much as I like the Grapes. I think I give the edge to the Grapes. But Black Tongue Fire Reds are must. I like those a lot more than I like the Silver Tongues, but I want the Silver Tongues back anyway. That being said, matter of fact, the metallics did come back up. Do I want to go dig those out of the closet? Let's go get the reimagined metallics out the closet real quick. Boom, there you have it, man. The metallic 5s and the Grape 5s. And honestly, I want to say that I like the Grapes more, but with the metallics sitting there, it's kind of hard to pick. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I said I like the Grapes more, but this is my favorite retro and release of the metallic 5s ever. Because these came out in 2016 or 17, 2011, and 2007. I had the 2007s and the 2011s at some point. I never had the most recent retro before these that also had Nike on the back, but I like these a lot more. I think the whatever this cut is of like, whatever this type of, is this Durabuck? I want to say this Durabuck that they use. It's like really smooth and really buttery. I like it quite a lot. And also a nice touch they did with these metallics, man. You see how like you have like these like white edges to the new buck or whatever. It's super subtle, but it makes it pop so much. And I just really like that. And I've never seen a pair of OGs in person, so I don't really know if this was what they was like back in the day. And then obviously, you know, you have like the 3M on the Nike Air and everything like that, right? Which is a pretty cool touch as well that I ain't mad at it. I believe it was white threaded or like, you know, white stitching on previous pairs, but something about that like subtle touch on these makes these pop so nice. And as I'm sitting here holding them up next to the Grapes, it's kind of hard for me to decide which one I like more. Y'all let me know, man, which one you feeling more, the Grape 5s or the reimagined metallic 5s. I'm gonna imagine most people are probably gonna say the metallics, since these are the ones that are more sought after, more hype, more valuable. And the Grapes is just like anyone can have them. Like I said, that's never really stopped me or changed how I feel about something. There is definitely an allure or an appeal to like having something that everybody doesn't have, right? That exclusivity factor, it is a factor. It's not like it doesn't matter at all, but if I like something, I like something. So, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I said it on my videos, maybe to the point where it gets corny, but I just feel the need to reiterate that because the thing I want to do is I want to encourage people to buy what they like, wear what you like. You know, you don't have to let somebody else tell you something is hot. If you think it's dope, cop it. And these grapes, that's how I feel about these right now, man. To me, these were a must cop. This was one of my most anticipated sneakers of the year. Is this like a top 5 shoe I've been waiting on this year? Probably. For me, it's the 85 Bread Highs, which I still don't have a pair of. It was the White Cement 4s, these Undefeated 4s probably, and then I mean we're still finding out about more stuff that's releasing this year. I want to throw the Rare Airs in there, but it's obviously we only halfway through the year, and there's the Tokyos that's coming out, so those might creep up my list. I really want those because I never thought that would be a sneaker that I'd get a chance to own, and they're going to be limited again this year as well. But you know, a better chance of getting those in the original pair, right? And then what else was releasing this year? I can't even remember all the releases. The Shattered Backboards, but those are just like, those was cool. That's not a top 5 release for me personally. The Shattered Backboards is okay, but it's never been like a grail of mine or like one of my all-time favorites. Probably, honestly, and this might be crazy to some of y'all, Shattered Backboards wouldn't even crack like my top 10 favorite Jordan 1s. You know, I'm taking Breads, Shadows, Royals, Lactos, Chicagos, Hyper Royals, UNCs. I'm taking a lot of colorways over the Shattered Backboards, but that's just me. Mochas, Travis Scott mochas, the reverse mocha lows. Like I like the backboards, but they just cool. They just, you know what I'm saying? So I never felt the need to pay a crazy price for those because I never thought they was all that, despite all the talk about, oh, but the quality is so this and the quality is so that. Y'all don't really care about that, because if you did, you'd be grabbing these. If y'all cared that much about quality, you'd be grabbing these. And well, granted, y'all is paying a lot for these, but there's some nice quality releases coming out lately, man, that people are sleeping on. White Cements, Grape 5s. I can't believe these are sitting the way that they are. Y'all putting disrespect on the OGs. Man, put some respect on the OGs, man. Come on, man. But yeah, personally, I'm very happy to have these. And if the price dropped low enough, your boy might even double up on them, which seems kind of redundant. The thing is, right, it's certain sneakers that I like to double up on. And the reason why I want to double up on a shoe like this is because obviously it's all white, so they could get damaged or, you know, stained or marked up or something that I can't really fix. And they also have an icy sole. And while I do have an indoor setup in my crib for reversing oxidization, you can only do that so many times. And sometimes shoes eventually just get to a point where it can only go so far. You know what I mean? So you can't always get it back to 100%. But that being said, like, I have so many shoes that I don't wear my shoes out like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they never really get to that point. And then also, I just don't dog my shoes out, you know what I'm saying? So it's unlikely that a shoe like this would ever get to that point, but it's still, I like the idea of having a fresh pair to break out in the event something like that were to happen. Or let's just say, you know, I sell these and I can just go right back to wearing a new pair, you know what I mean? But I don't know, because like I said, like my Carmine 6s, I talk about that shoe a lot because it's one of my favorites. I wear those a decent amount. They still look brand new, but I still got a DS pair sitting in the closet. And it's like, for what? Because by the time it's time for me to break out that new pair, the DS pair, they might be too old to wear, or they might have already brought them back out because it's already been like 5 years since that shoe came out and they still sitting. You know what I mean? So it's probably gonna take, like, matter of fact, where are my Carmines? I want y'all to see how clean these still are despite how much I wear them. So obviously this video isn't about this shoe, but these Carmines are one of my top 5, maybe top 3 like most worn sneakers in my collection. Obviously we all have our favorites, right? I have 100+ pairs of shoes, which I know is insane to a lot of y'all out there. Some of y'all watch other YouTubers who got 5 to 10 times as many as that, but to the regular person, that's an insane amount of sneakers, and you're right, it is. Anyway, that being said, we all have pairs that we gravitate towards and that we throw on more than others. For me, one of those pairs is my Carmines, but like, can you tell? The sneaker is 5 years old, and it's not like I've worn them hundreds of times, but I wear them a lot more than I wear most of my other shoes, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, this is easily like a top 5 to 3 most worn shoe in my collection. Like I grab these more than I grab a lot of other kicks. It's because they're easy to wear. They stupid clean. It's one of my favorites, you know what I'm saying? But like yeah, you're starting to see some yellowing, you know what I mean? It's been 5 years. So by the time this shoe were to ever get to the point where it's like, okay, let me sell these, or, you know, retire these and let me break out the new pair, they probably gonna retro again. You know, these came out in 2020. The retro before that, I want to say, was 2014. So it was 6 years. So potentially these could retro next year. You know what I'm saying? Like, logically speaking, just from the timeline, or in another year or two. It's like, damn, I still got a whole new pair I ain't even broke out yet. So it's like, why double up? I don't know, but I do sometimes. Like I said, I bought 3 pairs of White Cements. Now I did get rid of one of those pairs, but it's just, I don't know, man. I be trying to make it make sense, and sometimes it don't make sense. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. But anyway, Carmine, this is all-time great, man. All-time great. Love this sneaker to death. But anyway, back to the 5s. I'm very happy to have the Grape 5s in the collection, as well as the metallic 5s. But these grapes, these is hitting, man. These is hitting for sure. Y'all let me know how you feeling about them in the comments down below. Did you pick these up? Are you waiting on them? Are you passing on them? Are you waiting to see how much lower the prices go before you pull the trigger? And if you are, I don't blame you for that. For me, it's certain shoes that like they mean so much to me that I don't be wanting to take the chance. And like if you keep your ear to the streets, you can kind of gauge the market and see how people are feeling about them and kind of know whether or not a shoe is going to sell or sit and if it's going to be expensive. But it's just certain shoes where I'm like, I don't care, I want it, I'm not trying to wait. And this was one of those ones where like I figured that they probably wouldn't be selling for anything too crazy and that they'd be easy to get, but I didn't want to take the chance on that. I also just really wanted my pair now. But there definitely are colorways or shoes that come out where I'm like, I want those, but I don't think they're gonna be hype, so I'm gonna let them sit and the price is probably gonna go down and I'm gonna pick them up eventually. And I've done that with different pairs of Jordan 1s and like the cool gray Jordan 6s. When those dropped, I was like, I'm cool on them right now. I'm sure I can find those under market, and then I got them for like $140 or something at some point, brand new. Yeah, because things that don't instill like a sense of urgency. But for me, the Grape 5, that's a sense of urgency. Like I said, this is a shoe that I always wanted and never had. And I'm sure some of y'all can relate to that feeling of like being older. Because I do this with a lot of things, right? I do this with video games, I do this with manga, I do this with sneakers. Like now that I'm an adult with adult money, a lot of the stuff that I buy and collect, it's like, damn, I always wanted that back in the day, but I couldn't get it. But now I can, you know what I'm saying? So, and I had shoes growing up, you know, in 2013, like I had shoes, you know what I'm saying? I was already reselling by that point, you know, flipping to try to acquire whatever, but that still, I didn't have everything. I had more than the average person, but not everything. And this was just one of the ones that I never got my hands on, but better late than never. Glad to add these to the collection. And yeah, let me know what y'all feeling, man. Let me know how y'all feeling. Let me know what you're thinking about these. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoy. Subscribe if you haven't already so you can stay tuned for all lesson content up and I'm bringing you. And with all that being said, that's pretty much all I have today. And remember, let's get happy to swing the bat. Later.